Yeah. On Friday, June 6th, ICE conducted a major immigration raid, arresting over 117 people across LA. It was 40 plus at a work site, and then they went over to Home Depot and cleaned that parking lot out. And then also a fashion area, I guess, downtown somewhere in LA, and then Culver City Car Wash. Kevin Brown is in Los Angeles. I'm no longer there, so he's on the ground. What's going on in LA? Is it really that bad?
It's bad enough to talk about, but I drove through it by accident. Honestly, I didn't even really know what was going on. But I have some properties downtown that I have to visit on a weekly basis. And they did shut down essentially one half of the highway and like the most dense junction of all of these highways where they all come together. Um, is it as bad as the what do they call it? The Summer of Love riots, the BLM riots, like after George Floyd? Absolutely not. But are they causing destruction? Are they damaging, buildings, property? Yes. Are they attempting to harm law officials? Yes. Are law officials antagonizing the situation? I'm sure they are to some degree. But the real concern that I have is the response from leadership out here, our mayor and our governor, and just the general populace in general. I understand that it's distasteful that this is the way that they're approaching immigration and resolving the issues over the past 4 years. 10 plus million people coming in here. We don't know who they are. But at the same time, our leadership is fighting against that. Even if you disagree with the methodology, it's hard to disagree with the simple fact that they came here illegally. They're not supposed to be here. They're straining our social welfare systems. They're costing American taxpayers more and more money. They're taking jobs. They're bringing down the wages. And not only that, Medi-Cal, California's Medicaid or Medicare, I forget which one of the two, is subsidizing the healthcare of undocumented immigrants who don't put back, even if they are working, they're not putting back into the system because they're working under the table, most likely. So,
Tamisha?
yeah.
It's just distasteful how we're doing it. It's supposed to be land of the free, home of the brave, a melting pot, and all of the above. And it's like, I don't understand why we couldn't just figure out a better way to do it.
What's a better way?
Right.
I don't know. This is not my ministry or my wheelhouse. But if you're the president of the United States, you should at least have people. Yeah, it's not my ministry to figure it out.
But what do you do when the governor of the state
is not in my wheelhouse? I mean, it's not my community that, so I don't see the negative effects of it. So maybe in California, it's more on the forefront, but in my community, I don't see the negative effects of it. But I also know that a lot of the foreigners in the community I live in are Asian and not Hispanic. So and a lot of them are here on visas that have long been gone and done. So
the one thing that you just said, they're not Hispanic, and I want to chime in on this, and I'm gonna go to Jim shortly after. I spoke to my barber out in LA, right, and he is Mexican. Okay. And I said I wanted to talk to him before I hopped on this podcast to just say some craziness is something that might be offensive. And the one thing that he mentioned to me, shout out to my boy Hector, he said he feels as though Latinos are being targeted. Right? And this whole entire thing, because this whole illegal immigration situation is not just a Mexican thing or a Hispanic type of thing, right? There are some people who are Ethiopian, there's some people who are Asians and etc. Indians who are here illegally. Canadians, yeah.
Italians.
But it seems like the main premise and the main group is Hispanics. Mm-hmm. Jim.
So, I mean, I agree with you, right? And so look at that narrative, right? Mexico has, they saying we're not rocking with you, Trump, right?
Like Colombia, Venezuela.
Right. So I think this is like a payback in one aspect. And then I say is also a chess move to get boots on the ground. Because once the military takes over, now it is whatever the president says directly. No sitting nothing in front of nothing they have to be passed or anything. So now it's his army indirectly in control, not police, not state troopers, none of that. So I think that's more of a play on that. And we've seen this play before. They brung these people in because they kill people here. So you need the siphon. I mean, that's how capitalism works. It's just because somebody gone, we still need them to be buying stuff. So we bring other people here. We give them a starter. So now they getting in the system, right? Like no one's talking about that. We
All right.
seen that.
So numbers wise, and correct me if I'm wrong, but like before we hopped on, 4,000 National Guard troops, 700 Marines, and out of those 4,000, 2,100 are in Los Angeles right now. And supposedly this is going to cost $134 million that will cover food, travel, and housing for the troops out there. It might not affect you, Tamisha, but in Dallas, I know it's happening, Los Angeles, and then another city that it's in my notes somewhere. I don't know where it's at.
Chicago.
Yeah, Chicago. So it's happening and it's starting to spread slowly but surely. So, Kevin Jones, how do you feel about this whole protest out in LA? And is Donald Trump handling this whole situation the correct way?
I think he's handling it the only way. Well, he could do something different. But first of all, it's sad when you see the families break up. Like that always hits me. Like I understand that there's a hierarchy of how this is supposed to go, but when I see a man separated from his wife or a kid separated from whoever, like it breaks your heart because you can relate. You can kind of relate, like, and it's being done forcefully. But I do think that this is an economic play for us to get back money. This is money, and I think this is money. And forgive me if I'm wrong, but I think this has a lot to do with it's money driven. Get everybody out because the Hispanic community is the ones that are taking up a lot of the jobs from the quote unquote Americans. You want to bring in all this American stuff. You got to get rid of the people that's making the money that's getting those jobs. So if you kind of get them out, which they're being targeted, which Hector, I agree with him. They're being targeted because they're the ones that are taking the specific jobs that could be given to other Americans. So I think this is economically driven.
Other Americans ain't gonna do the jobs. That's the thing.
Stop saying that.
Well, they won't. I don't think they will either.
Oh, Kevin, you're gonna get out and you're gonna be doing potatoes and stuff, picking up potatoes.
Pay me enough, sure will.
Okay. Well, but that's it.
Well, that's the
if they
key
pay
thing,
you enough,
right.
they're
Pay
not
enough.
going.
Right.
These people still need to make money.
So you get rid of the hold on.
What Terrence said last week.
So you get rid of the undocumented workers who are being paid under the table for pennies on the dollar, and then you can't for a registered citizen. There's no way if they're a W-2 employee, there is no way that you can pay them below the federal minimum wage. There's no way you can circumvent that. There's no way if they're working 40 plus or more than 32 hours, I believe, that you can avoid paying them benefits. Illegal immigrants, you can do that. And sorry, I want to backtrack just a little bit to the point about, targeting Mexicans. According to PBS, or according to the Migration Policy Institute, about more than half, so 50% plus of the illegal immigration comes from Mexico, while another 20% comes from Central America. So
Hispanic.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, Hispanic.
Yeah, Mexican is Hispanic. Some Central American countries are also Hispanic. So that to make this point, it seems that way because it's the majority of the immigration. So of course they're going to be the largest demographic or the largest pool of people that would be targeted. Are they targeting them specifically? Probably. But statistically, they are the ones to target. And it's unfortunate and it seems biased. And of course, that's the way that people who are against anti-immigration efforts are going to frame it. But we also got to do our due diligence.
But not every Hispanic that's here is an illegal immigrant.
That's true.
The other thing.
Very true.
And I don't think that's being taken into play, especially however they're spending it. Not every person that's of Hispanic descent that's in this country is an illegal immigrant. So some of them work great jobs. They might not be picking potatoes. Yeah. And they might be paying back into the system.
I'm so mind blown by the way the left speaks of immigrant workers. Like they're always reducing. Like you played both ends of the spectrum. They could be doing a really good job. They could be picking. Yeah. But I never hear it from the right. I hear it from people on the left. They always reduce immigrant workers to the lowest labored workers ever. Who's gonna clean our toilets? Who's gonna wipe our ass? Who's gonna pick our crops? Do y'all not hear this? And this is the party of compassion. It blows my mind. Blows my mind.
But I'm kind of confused. Like, why does that bother you?
I think
Because that's how it's framed that conservatives, people who are conservative on the matter of immigration, we're framed as the insensitive ones, the ones that are breaking families apart, the ones that have no heart, the ones that lack compassion. We are the ones that are scrutinized, but we don't say things like who's gonna pick our crops, who's gonna wipe our ass.
We don't say not true. That is so not true.
That's a different.
No.
That is so not true.
I can find plenty of evidence.
I done seen plenty of little Becky's whining about not being able to have.
Yeah, but most recently, at the most crucial point, y'all the ones saying this crazy.
I don't think so. I don't need to say it.
I can pull 3 videos right now, right this very moment. Jasmine Crockett, your girl, she did it.
I'm sure she did.
Yeah, she one of y'all. It's like y'all the only ones saying it like this. It's crazy. Jim? It seems like y'all want these low-paid, unbenefited workers to come here and take our jobs.
Jim?
I think like what Kev was talking about, like them getting paid that low prices because let's just say farms, right? A lot of them was like farm workers and things of that nature. They're selling to these companies and that's it. So they don't have enough to pay, minimum wage and or they won't have these things done. So a lot of these jobs that they are working are the jobs that if they do raise the price up because of the people it needs to now fulfill these quotas and stuff, they won't be able to pay it. So I mean that's where a lot of that stuff comes from. But then at the same time, a lot of these workers be working for these same people talking about send them back. Right? Like they work for them, right? Like so that the hypocrisy of that in itself is like, this is a joke. It's literally a joke.
I want to see how many Americans are actually applying for the jobs that they might be leaving. I don't care what it is on straight across the board.
So, but hold on.
Because I have worked in hospitality for a very long time, and I've had a full maid staff where my executive housekeeper is Hispanic and everybody under her is Hispanic. As soon as I start trying to hire some Black people, hire some white people, quality is gone. And now my rooms are clean. I'm sorry, it is. Because it's like, you want me to clean 6 rooms today? Yes. Why do I want you to clean 6 rooms? Because Guadalupe did it yesterday. She cleaned 6 rooms. She did, and she was fine. And you 20 years younger than her.
I have to piggyback off of Kevin Brown really quickly. And I mean, the audience or whomever is watching this, they might think that I'm always trying to team up and it's him and I against everybody else. That's not the case. But I will say this. So if you let them, you're willing to let them stay, whether it's an Asian, Hispanic, Indian person, you're willing to let them stay here illegally because you don't want to be the one to do the job, Tamisha?
I'm not trying to do the job. I got a degree.
Do you hear this?
That don't have nothing to do with me. I am one of the Americans I'm not watching nobody's kids. I'm not cleaning nobody's toilet. I'm not picking no crop if it ain't mine. I am the one not doing that. Stay. But they need to figure out a system. If y'all want them paying back into the economy, figure it out. Don't just be snatching these people's kids away from them and sending them to El Salvador and these people from Honduras and then they kids live in Florida. Like, that's crazy. You don't even have no family there. Like, the things that we are doing, it doesn't make any sense. But I feel like if you want them paying back into it, put them, maybe you bring them all into the detention center.
They want them off our social welfare systems. That's what they want.
I want the white people off the social welfare system, but they're not
racist.
They've been eating into it since they've been eating into it. Yes, I am. They've been eating into it since they started it. So I want the white people off the social welfare system. I want them to use their skin and get a good job. That's what I want them to do.
Hold on, can we go back to the National Guardsmen real quick? Because
that aren't eating is sleeping on the floor.
Listen, well, somebody, I forget who it was. They came up on CNN. You know, CNN don't bring nobody that's not on their side on television. He came up on CNN. He was in the military, and he was saying this is completely normal. The National Guard and the military in general is used to being actualized or mobilized at a very quick moment, and typically the supplies follow afterwards. So them sleeping on the floor is not abnormal when they're deployed. Let's touch on that. Also, they not the ones engaging with the protesters. Their orders are to protect federal buildings. What are y'all worried about? What? They're having like a
The LAPD don't need no help protecting no building.
And
the LAPD,
yeah,
the LAPD trained.
The LAPD is extremely underfunded.
But the LAPD don't need no help. We seen.
What are you talking about? They set this whole city on fire in 2020. The whole city.
We see the LAPD fight. They've sent the LAPD overseas to train people, so we know that they can fight. They fine. They don't need no help.
Okay, even if they could. Sorry, go ahead.
I do have a question for Tamisha / Kevin Jones and maybe Jim. So in 2016, we had Trump, right, for 4 years, obviously, and then Biden came, right, with his homegirl, and then now we got Trump again. So my question is this: if we don't focus on immigration now, if not now, then when? When do we do it? Because from 2016, I understand he was here, he was doing a little something. 4 years went by, Biden didn't do anything at all. So if not now, then when do we focus on this whole illegal immigration situation? One of you guys, please just answer.
He could have been focusing on it. I just think that it should be a better plan, T. Like, I don't think that the plan that they, I don't think that they, I just don't think they have a good plan. Like it's so we're gonna have all of these Hispanic children flooded into the foster system now because their parents are gone. Now, how is that helping? How is that helping? Because they are citizens. They were born here in an American hospital. They're not being sent anywhere. But I got an 11-year-old and a 10-year-old. We got hundreds of kids going into the system.
Sounds like
they can't.
You telling me immigrant parents can't take their children with them?
Why would they do that? Why are they here? Why are the immigrant parents here?
Who are you gonna leave them with?
For a better life, maybe some freedom.
Okay, so they're gonna take their children back to El Salvador, where they not from, to give them a better life. No, that's not what's gonna happen.
You had an anchor baby
here, and they're gonna flood the foster system.
You had an anchor baby, and your intention with that was to secure your spot in this country. You didn't do your own due diligence and follow up and naturalize yourself, and now you have to deal with the consequences of that. Part of that is the child pays for the sins of their father. If you didn't do it the way that you were supposed to, unfortunately, you gotta go with them or separate the family. I don't know how this is any different than somebody going to jail and they have to leave their child. You get separated from your child when you commit a crime. You committed a crime, a misdemeanor, crossing the border illegally. You're being
good point.
You're getting corrective action for that by being sent back to the country.
Good point.
Unlike the person going to jail, you have the choice to take your child with you. What is the big deal?
They ain't gonna do it.
Huh?
They give them the choice for that?
I don't think they.
You have the choice. I mean, they don't give. I'm sure they don't give you the choice, but before they put you on that plane.
Exactly.
Right. But nothing stopping you from getting them somehow.
Check on that. You might need to check on that.
I just told you. I don't doubt that they don't give you the choice.
It ain't no choice. If ICE is raiding the kindergarten graduation,
you don't got to leave them with TT or whoever for indefinitely. You can get them once you get settled. It's probably the smartest way to go about it if they don't allow you to make that choice beforehand.
You could tell Kevin Brown is not around too many. Well, maybe you are. I don't know. Too many Hispanics because he said TT. I thought it was Titi, right?
It's
Tia.
It's Tia.
I don't really know too much Spanish, but I know what is that? Your aunt Titi?
Tia. It's Tia.
A Tia?
That's what the song. That's what
Abuelo.
My family,
TT. Yeah. But sad situation because I think ICE under the Trump situation, and he's just like, yo, go to the graduations, go to the funerals, go everywhere, go to the theme parks, and go get them. Get a little aggressive now. We started back in 2016 to 2020. Let's get real aggressive now. And I think that's what's happening. And people are just not liking it, and they're doing these protests. And I'm like, you could do these protests, but what is it really going to change? Like, you're just out there, especially in California, LA, you're out there expressing how you feel about all this nonsense, but it's not going to change anything. Like, you think Trump is just going to wake up tomorrow and be like, all right, let's just stop everything. Let them go out there and be illegal immigrants and do whatever they want. He's not going to do that. Jim?
Jim, he has something.
So one, they bringing South Africans in, giving them money and land at the same
Hypocritical.
time they supposed to be shipping people out. So my thing is, so we
Hypocritical.
missed that because they look nice
What do
and
you
happy
mean by
and white.
that? What do you mean
They
by
brought
that?
in no South Africans.
Who?
They gave them money and
Afrikaners.
land
Okay.
since they
Which-
having a genocide.
Yeah, which we already seen before. Like if we really step back, this is the same thing. They're bringing white people in, they shipping other people out,
But
right?
it's not. But these are not undocumented, unaccounted for.
Yeah, they're white. There's a
Unknown.
difference. They
Hold on,
brung
but yeah, that is a huge difference, and I believe that is in part hypocritical. I don't believe it's hypocritical
In
because
part.
the immigration versus Afrikaners. I believe it's hypocritical because the justification is that they're being attacked and killed when he's saying the complete opposite against Palestine. That's the hypocrisy that I disagree with on that. But T, do I have time to paint an analogy on how to address immigration since we can't get a straight answer here?
Please.
All right. So let's equate the United States to your house. And let's equate a flood of immigration to a flood of water, right? And you're the only one that can deal with this. You can't call nobody. So you got to deal with this on your own. All right. So you have a flood coming into your house. What is the first thing that you're going to do?
Cut the water off.
Okay. What's the next thing that you're going to do?
Gotta rip up I gotta check to see what's wet after that. Like, what you mean?
You'll probably get whatever water is in there out to minimize the damage, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Dry it up.
All right. And then after that, what would you do next? Like there was an issue, you shut off the water, you got the water out. There's still an issue that you need to address, right? So we're going to fix that issue. We're going to repair the pipe. We're going to repair the pipeline. We're going to, fix the valve, whatever it is. So once I open it again, it doesn't flood, right? It's the same concept with immigration. You have uncontrolled immigration coming in, you shut it down, 99% reduction, check, right? Next step, you get the water out. This is exactly what's going on right now. Unfortunately, 10 to 20 million people, that's a lot. That's a lot of water. We got to get a lot of water out and we got to do it quick because we only got 4 years, right? It's a lot easier for the water to come in than it is to get it out. Once we get it out, we have to repair the system. And this is what you guys, and I believe as well, there's something that has to be done to fix the immigration system.
I want to ask before we move over to our next topic, Kevin Brown.
What up, though?
So what I think I hear, okay, let me clean this up. What I believe that you're trying to say, or what you're saying is that regardless if you're here illegally or whatever the case may be, you feel like Trump is doing things the correct way and that these people should get out. No matter if they're Asian, no matter if they're Hispanic, no matter if they're Indian, whatever the case may be, the background, if they're here illegally, you think that they should be deported out.
To answer that question, yes. Do I think he's doing it the right way? I think he's stretching his presidential authority and the courts should check him in the form of a lawsuit. And, that should be played out to the highest level of Supreme Court if it ultimately gets there. And we should follow whatever the Supreme Court says.
Since Tamisha can't answer, what's another way that he can do it? That's a safer way, a nicer way of deporting people. What's a better way to do it, you think, Kev Brown?
If the states would allow him to go into the prisons to take the criminals that are already there and work with ICE, that would be a much safer, much less invasive, much less socially jarring action that they could take. But a lot of these states, a lot of these sanctuary cities, they're not allowing that.
If you go to Home Depot, and I
get them out of like you said, to get them out of the prisons, Kev?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I lived
that
in
actually
LA.
makes sense to me.
How they not allow that? Why couldn't ICE go?
Because they're sanctuary cities. They're making it as hard as possible because it's Trump.
Come on.
That's it.
That's an excuse, bro. He just got 4,000 troops in there. You talk about some country bumpkin sanctuary city is stopping that?
No, they're not releasing the prisoners. What's happening is they're holding these prisoners, not releasing them to ICE, not notifying ICE when they do release them because these blue sanctuary cities, they have some of the most lenient
immigration laws.
No, they have some of the most lenient enforcement laws for crimes, and so a lot of these people are going back on the street, but they're not telling ICE until the day of releasing these people. So now ICE, instead of picking them up from the institution, they're back on the streets and they have to track them down, which costs more money, which invades neighborhoods and is a lot more socially jarring. Work with them.
So you telling
Kevin
me you
Jones.
can't get somebody into the prison to facilitate that? As the president of the United States with all this power.
ICE can't just walk into a prison and take somebody. They have to do that in collaboration with the municipality.
And the president can't make that happen?
No, because states do have governance over themselves.
So let me ask y'all this.
So the president can't just come in and say, "Give me that dude." Nah, he has to work with the state. The state has to work with the authorities, and the authorities have to release them.
Don't they these prisons make money off of the people that are in there?
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
Well, there's your answer.
Yes.
Why none of this stuff is happening? Because they're making money off of these prisoners.
Okay. So that's double dumb. Double.
It is, but
and most prisons are privatized, right?
But
yeah,
that's what I'm trying
so
to
they're
tell.
exposing
So
themselves.
Kevin,
You don't want to release the
right.
immigrants because you're getting this basic
No, you're
slave
right, Kevin,
labor.
but that's where people are saying he's doing. Like, if you're going to get everybody up out of here, get everybody up out of here. You can't just
trying to get them out of here.
Yeah, he's not going to get rid of the people that's making the money or making the people that voted for him making the money.
I'm sorry, I might be missing the point. What's the point you're making?
People that are in jail
Uh-huh.
are making the people that voted for him money. So why would he get rid of them?
They own the
He's
prison.
trying to, but I just said the state has governance over itself.
He's never getting rid of them.
Not trying.
Hold on. It's these.
I'm telling you, bro.
No. It's these
All right, go
sanctuary
ahead.
cities that are protecting immigrants that are working against. California set aside, I think it was $100 million or $100 billion. No, $100 million. I think it was $100 million specifically to sue the pants off of the Trump administration for everything that it does. Barring nothing, simply because it's Trump telling them what to do. So it makes no sense.
That part.
It makes no sense. Hold on. Let me finish. It makes no sense that they are doing this to benefit Trump supporters when this in fact benefits the state itself by the slave labor that it gets from these institutions. So Trump is sending ICE to these institutions to take these people out of them, but the state is not allowing it. So it's not Trump stopping himself. It's these sanctuary cities that are hindering the ability or the capability.
I ain't seen ICE at not a prison.
Yeah, me neither.
That's where they started.
Home Depot.
That's where they started. Tom
Depot.
Homan has made many news releases about how they cannot get into these prisons because they're not being let in and they're not being notified when they release prisoners. This was at the very beginning. This was at the very beginning of the administration.
You want to be notified? ICE got enough money to be right here on the computer watching as they update that system with them people.
Okay, so when they walk out the door, how long is it going to take you to get from your computer to the facility?
You don't have nobody. You telling me ICE don't have the ability to have a truck staking out there? I don't see
every prison institution in the country all at once. Nah,
at the graduation, I don't see them. They've been staked out in a bus, so they can be staked out right there in the middle of nowhere, California.
Listen, if you go to a Home Depot, you got about 300 people in the parking lot that you can grab up at any Home Depot in the city. Because I lived in California for 10 years, and anytime I need some type of work done, a paint job, any type of construction job, right there in the parking lot. Give me 25.
Why deport them? They trying to find work.
Because they money not going back into the system, Jimmy. That's why. That's what they say.
Y'all keep saying money's not going back to. No, they are burdening our social welfare systems.
I guess
the same system that black people don't want any cuts to.
Here you go. The black people and the Hispanics are the only.
Well, y'all want to kick and scream about not having enough resources, but then fight for the same people who are draining our resources. Which one is it? You got to pick a battle.
It ain't nobody. It ain't them. It's the governors is stealing millions. It's everybody paying other people. So it ain't got nothing to do with somebody out there.
So if we can't fix that, we can fix this.
Can we?
Speaking of the governor, Gavin Newsom, or as Trump might call him, Gavin Newscom. He actually said, hey, the court, what's going on with that, Brown? Like they're beefing about that, right? About the troops and Well,
Oh
something
yeah,
about like the troops and everybody being there with the protests and stuff. He want them out. The governor. Yeah.
Gavin Newsom is saying that President Trump overstepped his authority by federalizing the National Guard when it's really the governor's authority to dispatch the National Guard for whatever reasons. But I would argue it was evidenced during the Summer of Love in 2020, the BLM protest, when they set this whole city on fire. California Governor Gavin Newsom will not do anything. He will let this city, there we go, Newsom.
Was the city really on fire, Kevin?
Yes.
I mean, y'all just had a wildfire.
I would drive from La Cienega to Fairfax to La Brea. Fire, fire, fire. Yes.
But was it as bad as the wildfire you just had?
Huh?
I'm just saying.
What happened?
I said, was it as bad as the wildfire you just had there? I'm just saying.
It was, I mean, when you turn a corner every few blocks and something's on fire, a car, and there's a protest somewhere, rubber bullets are flying, or every other block, yeah, it's a problem.
And I think like when the cars are on fire and all this other stuff, that's like no longer civil. That's no longer like a safe protest. You need somebody to stop that.
Throwing cinder blocks off the bridge.
I'm not putting it past the Trump administration to have
cinder
people
blocks
there to start these
fires either. I saw a video of a police officer getting hit by a cinder block.
The Trump administration for planning people there
overpass.
Did he
to
die?
make this into a riot.
Nah, he got hit, knocked his helmet off.
Right. I'm not putting it past the Trump administration to make this a riot. I'm not putting it past any organization or any political party to make this into a riot and make it look like it's this way.
George Soros funded NGOs have been caught 10 ways till Tuesday for funding protests like this, specifically for civil unrest to push agendas. I don't want to hear it. We'll get
it. I want to. The thing that I have an issue with though is that the people out there protesting, you're protesting for people being here illegally, and that's the thing that I just don't understand. Like somebody is doing something wrong, and you're out there like,
protesting for them being here illegally. They're protesting because they feel that we should be better as a country and not treat people this way, even if
we let y'all stay for 30 years.
People are already here. Enough. They're here on our land. You got people. Okay, let's use the house again. You got people at your dinner table that you said were welcome. Let's say, but they didn't follow your rules exactly because you told everybody to wear black, but they got on white, and then you just look at them and say, "Get your ass out!"
You fucking up the photo. Get out.
So hold on. You listen. All of you guys are welcome for dinner, of course. If you come through the front door, you sit down. We have dinner. We have dessert, and you guys leave out. It becomes problematic when you come in and you start stealing money. You start stealing things inside my house and everything else.
You and my friend.
Now you're here illegally. you don't belong here anymore. All right. Before we move on, 54% of Hispanic men, since we're focusing on the Hispanic community, 54% of the dudes voted for Trump, by the way, in the election. So I did see a post online that said, "Damn, we voted for this shit." And yeah, 54% did.
He told y'all. Why y'all acting surprised?
I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm not surprised at all.
Surprised at all. But like Brown said, like we knew this was coming. He said this is going to be the biggest mass deportation in history, and that's what we're seeing right now.